Hi, and welcome to Lesson 2. How do animals grow and change? Different animals have their young in different ways, but all animals grow and change during their life cycle. Life cycles. An animal's life starts out as an egg. Sometimes the egg develops into a young animal inside the mother. Then the mother gives birth to a live young. For other animals, the mother lays an egg outside of her body. Then the young develops in the egg and hatches when it is ready. When some animals hatch or are born, they look like their parents. Many other animals change a lot before they look anything like their parents. And here are some life cycle stages. We have birth, animals are born or hatch. Growth is when an animal gets bigger. Development, animals change into adults. Reproduction, animals produce young. And death, animals' lives come to an end. And we see this picture of the life cycle of the butterfly. And we'll start with number 1 down here, the egg. This is a close-up view of a very small egg. The picture has been magnified or made to look bigger. Number 2, the larva. The butterfly larva is called a caterpillar. Number 3, the pupa. Inside a hard covering, the larva's body changes. So the pupa is when it's all covered up, changing inside. And then we have number 4, the butterfly. The adult butterfly comes out of the chrysalis. A butterfly's life cycle. A butterfly's life cycle begins in an egg so tiny it is hard to see. A caterpillar hatches from the egg, the first stage in its life cycle. It is not a larva. It is now a larva. In order to survive and continue in its life cycle, the caterpillar must eat a lot. It starts munching on the plant where it lives. As the caterpillar grows, it sheds its skin several times. Then the larva spins a covering around itself. Then a hard covering or chrysalis forms. The larva is now called a pupa. The caterpillar's body changes a lot while a pupa. It grows wings and jointed legs. It finally begins to look like an adult butterfly. Soon it breaks out of the chrysalis and crawls out. The adult butterfly dries its wings and flies away. After laying eggs, the butterfly's life cycle is nearly complete. It will soon die, the last stage in its life cycle. And here's the checkpoint question we'll talk about in class. What is the purpose of the pupa? Well, to find out, we have a couple places we can look on this page. We have where it shows us a picture right here. Inside a hard covering, the larva's body changes. So it's a place where the body changes. And it says over here where it's highlighted, that is when the covering or a chrysalis forms. And it is where the larva spins a covering around itself. So that must mean that it's protecting itself while it changes inside. Turning to the next page, page 46. Here we have some vertebrate life cycles. Remember, vertebrates are animals that have a backbone. For example, Mr. Sylvester over here keeping me company, showing us his backbone. Vertebrates have different kinds of life cycles. Some vertebrates, like frogs, go through many changes as they grow and mature. Other vertebrates, like pandas or monkeys, do not change much. A frog's life cycle. Just like insects, many amphibians change quite a lot as they become adults. Now, if you remember from the last lesson, amphibians are animals that spend part of their lifetime in the water and part of their lifetime on land. For example, the frog we're going to talk about. Did you know, for instance, that a very young frog looks and acts a lot like a fish? Look at how a frog changes during its life cycle. This frog completes all the stages of its life cycle in one summer. All frogs do not develop in the same way. In colder places, a developing frog may dig into the mud during the winter. It will not become an adult frog until the following spring or summer. A mammal's life cycle. Unlike amphibians and insects, young mammals do not change very much as they become adults. For example, our kitty cat over there. Many mammals look like their parents when they are born. Like you, they grow as they get older. Most mammals develop inside their mother's bodies. When they are born, the babies drink milk from their mothers. They also have hair or fur. It will be many years before you become an adult. A young rabbit, however, is ready to leave its nest and live on its own when it is less than 3 weeks old. It will be an adult at about 6 months. And then here we have some pictures here. A panda cub gets a gentle nudge. And notice that the baby looks a lot like the parent, so they don't go through a big cycle of change like some other animals do. Even though it's very small, a newborn panda has the same body form and the same number of legs as its parents. Now for page 47. Frog life cycle. So let's start with number 1. Eggs. Mother frogs often lay hundreds or thousands of eggs in the water. And there's a picture of egg. 2. The second stage is the tadpole stage. Tadpoles hatch from the frog eggs. Tadpoles live underwater and breathe with gills. So they look more like fish right now than frogs, don't they? Third step, growing tadpole. As the tadpole grows, it starts to change. Its tail becomes shorter. Legs begin to grow. The back legs grow first, and you can see he's starting to get legs now. Now for stage the next part, before a tadpole becomes an adult frog, it has to grow lungs so it can breathe on land. And its legs and feet have really developed. And now we have the last stage, stage 4, adult frog. The adult frog lives on land and in the water. It will need to return to the water to lay its eggs. And now for the checkpoint question that we'll discuss in class. Before a frog can live on land, how must its body change? Well, it reminds me way up here a bit that it has to grow lungs so it can breathe on land. So its body has to form lungs first. That's how it can change before it can live on land. When it's still a tadpole up here, it's breathing with its gills. There's a second checkpoint question. How is a mammal's life cycle different from a frog's or a butterfly's life cycle? And I bet we could find the answer over here in this section, a mammal's life cycle. And here it says mammals develop inside their mother's bodies. And it also says that when they are born, the babies drink milk from their mothers, and they also have hair or fur. But they don't have, instead of getting bigger, there's not many other changes that they go through like butterflies and frogs do. And then join us next time when we read the lesson 3. How do adaptations help animals? See you next time.